Hello everybody and welcome to the Alpha Show. I'm your host, Alpha Sinner. Today, our show is about child abuse, and our three guests are Dr. Norman McGraw, Christopher Titus, and Charles McFly. So, Christopher, why don't you tell the audience, for those who are watching this that don't know, why don't you tell the audience your story of abuse as a child?
Well, it pretty much started when I was about 5 years old. It's when my mom decided to up and leave. She was mentally insane. She was finally admitted when I was 5, and it drove my dad to the brink of insanity. So he decided to take it out on me.
And how did he take it out on you?
It was rarely physical, but it was always mental. He would always put me down, lower my self-esteem. My baseball team came in 5th. Should have came in 1st. I was too slow. I brought the team down. It just wasn't fair. My dad always did that to me. He always put me down.
Well, George, why don't you tell the viewers your story?
My story is when I was 5 years old, my parents died and I had to go live with my grandparents. Until I was 10, I didn't really get all that much abuse except for, the occasional spanking from doing something wrong. But when I hit 10 years old, my grandfather died and I was left in my grandmother's hands. She was the one who was doing most of this spanking and stuff like that. And once my grandfather left, she just went all out, took everything. She would come home mad from work and just take her cane and whack me upside the head. Mm-hmm. When I was 13, I was walking down up the driveway and she came in flooring it and kind of broke one of my legs.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think are the psychological effects of this abuse?
That some of the psychological effects are like if you can't get real attached to people because you think they might hurt you, like my grandma would. I can't even get a girlfriend right now because of that.
Why don't we move on to Dr. Norman? Dr. Norman, why don't you tell the viewers your story?
Well, I was 5 years old when the abuse started. My dad died of an accidental overdose when I was like a month old, so I was always brought by my mom.
What did he overdose from?
I really don't know. My mom's telling me so many different things he's overdosed on. I don't know which drug it was, so I don't really know for sure. But it started when I was 5, where I accidentally broke one of my mom's favorite vases, and then she just punched me and beat me until I was, basically black and blue. And I went through those abuse times so many times after that, and then it was horrible. It all stopped when I was like 17 or 18, but it was bad years for me.
So Christopher, what do you think? Do you think that parents who abuse their children were abused themselves as children?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I do know that my dad was pretty messed up by his mother. Mm-hmm. His mother was out of it totally. Mm-hmm. She lived single pretty much all her life, which affected her attitude towards my father. Mm-hmm. Of course, most people would say that, like my father, I'm just being a wussy. I'm not dealing with these things the way I should be, and people are affected by their parents and stuff that happen to them. Mm-hmm. They have to have a reason for doing the stuff they do.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any way to prevent child abuse?
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out as soon as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I lived in an unhealthy environment for a long time. Mm-hmm. I didn't know there was a way out. If I did, I would have taken it.
And George, what do you have to say for the children out there who are watching this who are abused themselves?
tell people, tell your friends, tell a teacher, because it's not right what they're doing. I lived for it almost all my life, and I'm withdrawn, can't hold a job, and really have no relationships with a lot of people.
So, Dr. Norm, what do you think is, do you think there's any solution in sight to preventing child abuse in any way?
It's like what Christopher said, get out, because it's not worth staying at home or wherever you're being abused and just taking it day after day, week after week, you know. So the best thing to do is to get out, tell somebody. It's not worth staying there. If you're going to be put in a foster home, then that's best for you than staying where you possibly could be killed.
And Christopher, do you have any final words to say to the viewers at home?
Don't stand for it. It's not worth it. You're worth so much more than your parents tell you you are. If you don't go for it, you'll never know what you're worth.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching the show, and I hope those of you who are abused will be enlightened by this. Thank you.